And welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. Hope you're doing well. 2025 is here, and it's the new year ahead of us. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about in podcasting. We're looking forward to a great year together, you and I, as we navigate this brand new year of opportunity in front of us. And our podcast, whether we haven't started yet or we've been doing this for a long time, this is the year when we're going to see something great in our podcast. I'm putting that out into the universe for you, that you're going to have an amazing journey as a podcaster this year, and following along here on the How to Podcast series might be a small part of that. And I'm thankful and grateful that you have taken the time to press play and to join us here on the podcast. It means a lot. And I'm really excited to get into today. I want to talk to you about a quote from Theodore Roosevelt and how we can apply it to podcasting to give you some context about the fact that you're probably doing better than you thought. And I'm excited to share it with you. So thanks for hitting play. Thanks for being here. Here we go. Welcome to the How to Podcast series. My name is Dave. So I came across this quote and I used it on my Dad's Space podcast, but I thought, you know what? This really relates to podcasters as well. It's from Theodore Roosevelt. And the quote goes, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." Do what you can with what you have where you are. And I'm like, wow, this is probably one of the things that a lot of new podcasters, young podcasters, new to the game of podcasting, where they struggle, is they're always looking towards what they don't have. They're always looking towards the future and what's missing, how I can get better, a better mic, a better workstation, a better computer, a better laptop, better headphones, a better lighting kit, a better this, a better that. And they're always in this hunt, this search for the next better thing. Instead of focusing on what Theodore Roosevelt challenges us to do, is to do what you can with what you have where you are. These are I don't hear a lot of gurus in podcasting promoting this. And that's why we do this show. Because in the noise of going after the next thing, it's very, very hard to keep up with. You're going to spend a lot of money listening to those gurus because they're going to keep throwing links at you, which are probably a link they're going to make money from if you click it, just so you know. And they just want you to buy the next thing, a new microphone, a new recording system, a new this or that, whatever. And they're always putting new stuff in front of you, new subscriptions, new all this stuff. And it's just stuff, you're just dealing out money, new courses, new books, it just goes on and on. And you just feel like you don't have enough information to continue. So you need that one more thing. I listened to this one person who has multiple gurus they follow in podcasting. They pay for courses, they buy books, they buy microphones, they buy everything that that these gurus tell them to do. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and they don't even have a podcast. Yet they learn about podcasting. They take courses about podcasting. They buy books about podcasting. They listen to podcasts about podcasting. Yet they never act. They never hit record. They never do the thing because they're so caught up in this education trap, this loop of, well, if I keep learning, I'm going to get smarter, and then eventually I'll be smart enough and I'll have enough skills to hit record. And then there's you and I, who show up, start messy, and learn as we go. And I think you're going to learn more in the University of Life than any kind of podcast university, any kind of podcast business school, any kind of school of podcasting. All of these things are there to sell you something. They want to get you into a funnel. They want to get you to the part where you're going to pay them cash to be a part of whatever they do so that you can support them and help them pay their bills. If we follow the Theodore Roosevelt guide to podcasting, if we can call it, to do what you can with what you have where you are, is going to take out so much of the noise from the podcasting gurus who are always making you feel guilty that you are not progressing and using the next thing. You can breathe. It's okay. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Now, we're going to break these into 3 chunks, talk about a little bit more, some examples, how you can just do your podcast today without any more knowledge, no more courses, no more books, no more delaying, no more false starts, no more knowledge. Do what you can with what you have where you are. The first part, do what you can. In 2025, as a podcaster, here's what I want you to focus on. It's not the name on your microphone. It's not the type of lights that you have. It's not whether or not you're going to be a YouTube podcast or a audio podcast. It's none of those things. It's your content. It's what you talk about. It's what lights you up. It's why you want to do the thing you want to do. I want you to focus on your content and creating content with your current skills and knowledge. Full stop. With what you know today, I want you to create your content and get it out there. You don't need to take another course. There is so much knowledge out there that we are drowning in knowledge. We are, if you think of a pool, okay, the deep end is the knowledge about the thing. The shallow end is where people are actually doing the thing. Now, a lot of people don't hang around in the shallow end. They always want to go deeper. But in going deeper, you're not actually doing anything. You're just drowning in knowledge. I want you to move over to the shallow end, get enough knowledge to start, and then start. Just start. Do what you can. Don't let perfectionism or comparisons hold you back in starting or growing your podcast. Just start by recording episodes, even if they're not flawless, perfect, as good as you hear on other shows. Many successful podcasters admit their first few episodes weren't the best, but they improved over time by being a podcaster, studying to be a podcaster, or being a podcaster. How do you think you're going to grow the fastest? Reading about it, listening about it, watching someone else do it versus you doing it. I think you're going to learn more and faster by simply being a podcaster. Remember that your unique perspective is valuable. You are valuable, and your audience will appreciate you over everything else. Nobody in your audience cares what kind of microphone you have. Nobody cares what type of camera you're using for your video podcast. Nobody cares, as a listener, where you host your podcast. Nobody cares about your social media plan. Nobody cares about your journey and how you're doing this. Nobody cares about this stuff. They care about your content. That is what brings people to your show. They will learn to care about these things later. They'll learn to care about you more as the host. But it's the content that's going to bring them through the door for the first time. So why are we so focused on all of these things that don't matter when we're not focused on actually creating content? So do what you can with what you have. That's the next part. With what you have. As podcasters, we don't need all that expensive equipment that gets shoved in our faces around Black Friday, Boxing Day here in Canada, where all these great big sales. Limited time offer. Get this, get this, get this. Top tech choices for 2025. You're going to see all these podcasts come out in the new year. Don't fall into the trap of longing for what you don't have. Focus on what you do have. Do what you can with what you have. You don't need this expensive equipment or large network to start podcasting. You don't need a big audience. You don't need to go build your social media platform and then start your podcast. For the most part, your social media people that follow you don't give two craps about a podcast. They don't care about any of that stuff. They're there for social media. The fact that you have a podcast is irrelevant to them. So don't worry about that. Use the tools and the resources available to you right now. What do you have in front of you? What do you own? What do you have? And use that. This could be your phone. Our phones are so smart today compared to what phones used to be like when they were attached to a wall with a long cord. You probably didn't even know about those days. Phones have changed our world. The fact that we carry these things in our pocket, you have the ability to do great things with a phone. Can you do more with more equipment? Yeah, sure. But do you need more equipment to start? No, you don't. And anybody who tells you that podcasting on a phone is a terrible idea for starting should be your last person you go to in the future for advice on podcasting. That's it. Dismiss them. You are done with them because they're just not supportive of people who want to start messy and go from there. Your phone can be all you need to start your podcast. There are so many great tools out there to start a podcast. Start with what you have. There's some free editing software I'm using right now called Audacity. Simple, easy to use, pretty straightforward, bulletproof. I've been using it for 20 plus years. I love it. And I haven't paid a penny for it. And all of my 8 podcasts have been built on Audacity. So you don't have to pay for something. You don't have to get these expensive monthly fees to start a podcast. Start with something free. And if you're like, Dave, I don't know how to use Audacity, then reach out to me at howtopodcast.ca. Calendar link. Let's get on. I'll show you my screen and I'll walk you through all of the basics specific to podcasting so that Audacity becomes your go-to resource so you can start. Stop telling me that you don't have enough money for all these tools and start with something free and get out there. Get out there in 2025. Your first episode is not going to be amazingly spectacular, going to set the world on fire. Lower your standards and your expectations. Stop with the perfectionism. Stop being so hyper-focused on every single thing being absolutely perfect. And just start already. You are delaying because you're not confident in yourself. You're not confident in your content. You're not confident in your abilities. And it's time to stop giving yourself excuses and giving yourself a way out. It's time to start. And if you need help, I'm right here and I want to work with you and help you to get that confidence up and show you that you are amazing and your podcast is going to be awesome. Start with what you have. And as well, the next thing and the last part of this is also start with where you are today in your podcast. Your current situation right now, not the future you, the current you, today you, yeah, the one you're listening to me right now, you right now, your current situation is your starting point. It's not tomorrow, it's not next week, it's not next month, next year, it's right now. Today is your starting point. Whether you're a beginner or you have some experience, embrace your present reality. Who you are in the moment, listening to this episode, delaying the launch of your podcast. This right now is your starting point. Podcasting is a journey. And every episode is an opportunity to grow and improve. One of the main things I hear from podcasters and future podcasters is the whole wrestling with the imposter syndrome. And basically that comes down to a lack of confidence in either you, your content, your abilities, any of those things, or any number of those things combined. Just the whole idea of who would care what I have to say about anything? Who would care to listen to me? And in that, we put ourselves in a imposter syndrome timeout, and we put ourselves in the corner, and we never venture outside of that space because we're so crippled by the idea that somebody might not like us. Did you know that there are people in your world that don't like you? And you seem to be fine and be operating okay in life. And you might not even know they don't like you. But it's a reality. You are going to connect with some people and you're not going to connect with others. It's just natural. It is natural. And you need to understand that you are not everybody's favorite. Okay? And be okay with that. Because for the people that you're not drawn to and they're not drawn to you, there are others who are desperately seeking you in this world. So don't deny those people. Don't deny the people who love you, will fall in love with you, who will be in your community, who will support you, because you're afraid of the people who may not like you. This whole imposter syndrome really cripples a lot of people in starting and continuing with their podcast in the early days. Sharing your experiences with imposter syndrome in the process of creating your podcast might even bring more people to you that listen and identify with you as you start a new thing. They're listening to you and going, oh my gosh, that's me. I feel just like that podcaster. I'm trying to write a book. I'm not trying to create a podcast, but I'm trying to write a book. And I'm listening to you struggle through and work through your imposter syndrome in real time, creating your show and telling me how you're doing it. That gives me inspiration to go do the thing that I'm challenged by. Focus on your content. Focus on helping others who face similar challenges to you. Remember, imposter syndrome is common, and it's a common experience for any creative and professional willing to take a step outside of their comfort zone, outside of the normal, outside of what others do, and putting themselves into the spotlight. Anybody that puts themselves outside of their circle, outside of their comfort zone, will feel at some point some form of imposter syndrome and feeling inadequate, in the wrong place. Like, I snuck in here, I'm going to get bounced out of here. Somebody's going to figure out that I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And I'm going to get ridiculed and made fun of because I don't know what I don't know. Everybody doesn't know what they don't know. So don't worry about the fact that you don't have all the answers. Worry about making content that answers the questions that people do have. And in that process, you're going to find people who come to you and gravitate towards you because you become their voice. You become their person. Your podcast becomes their podcast. And in doing that, you create community around your journey of creating and stepping outside of who you are. You're going to gradually build confidence and overcome your self-doubt by doing the thing. As you continue to produce content and engage with your audience, you're going to develop your unique voice, which you will not have on episode 1, to the same degree you'll have on episode 500. Just understand that's not going to happen that way. You're going to develop it over time. Your unique voice will come, and you're going to find your voice in the podcasting world. So if Theodore Roosevelt had a podcast, I'm sure he's going to cover this in his podcast for you to do what you can with your show. Use the tools you have. Use the things at your disposal. Use the time that you have. Right? Do what you can. And then he would tell you to do what you can with what you have. Again, back to time, back to money, back to your knowledge, back to your equipment, back to your situation in life. Do what you can with what you have. Stop looking at what you don't have, but do what you can with what you do have. And at the same time, do what you can with what you have where you are. You are in the perfect place to do your podcast. There is nothing lacking from you except experience. That's the only thing you're missing. The fact that you haven't done this for a long time. The fact that you haven't found your voice as a podcaster yet. The fact that your listeners haven't found you yet. They haven't fallen in love with you. The fact that your community hasn't started or hasn't grown over the last few weeks. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Should be your motto for 2025. I'm going to do what I can with the tools that I have where I am currently in my life without feeling like I'm being talked down to by these gurus who are trying to sell you something or 4 easy payments and $2,000 later you're a certified podcast coach, but you don't even know how to podcast and you don't even have a show. You don't even know what you're talking about, but you just paid this guy $2,000 to give you some random degree or accreditation for something that doesn't exist. They just made this up. They pulled it out of their butts. and made you pay $2,000 for it. It's ridiculous that we're always on this search to pay people to tell us we're good. You don't need to pay anybody to tell you that you're good or you're good enough that you have what it takes to podcast. Stop spending money on these people and instead realize that you should do what you can with what you have and where you are and be okay with the fact that it's not going to be amazingly perfect, but that your audience is going to fall in love with you over a period of time, and that all good things take time to build. Nothing is instant. I'm sorry, but nothing is instant. You're not going to be insta-famous just because you hit record and produce one episode of your podcast. It's not going to happen. So please stop chasing your tail and focus on the fact that you have everything you need to start a successful podcast. Right now, with no one else's help, you can do this. And it's time to stop wasting time chasing these gurus around the room and buying everything they're trying to sell you, getting in their memberships, buying these ridiculous accreditations that mean nothing to anyone. I'm not accredited as a podcaster. I have 8 podcasts. I'm not accredited, so does that mean I'm not worth anything because I didn't take some random Joe's podcasting accreditation course and pay him $2,000? Does that make me less of a podcaster? Do you think less of me? No. Because it's just junk. You do what you can with what you have where you are. That's what we need in 2025. And less of this other stuff. You are enough. You are. You are amazing. You have stories to tell that are going to change people's lives. And if you don't start, it'll never happen. My goal for you in 2025 is to be there for you and to help you any way possible. If it's simply just listening to this show, then great. If it's listening to the amazing guest co-hosts that come on the How to Podcast series, awesome. If it's coming to our free meetups and meeting other podcasters in person, online, and rubbing virtual shoulders with other podcasters just like you, then come join our meetups. Whatever it is that I can do to make it easier for you to embrace your imposter syndrome, put it aside, and start your show, I want to be there for you. So please reach out. I can't come to your house and find you. You have to reach out to me. So please, howtopodcast.ca. You can reach out to me there. You'll find my calendar link there. You'll find all my contact information in the show notes. There's a special link just for listeners who listen this far into the episode. You can reach out to me anytime, and I'd love to talk to you. And if you're not sure if I'll respond, I challenge you to reach out and see what happens. howtopodcast.ca. Happy 2025 to you, your family, and to your podcast. Let's see great things happen for you this year. Do what you can with what you have, where you are in 2025. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for listening to the entirety of the episode, including this part. You know what? A lot of people leave right now, so we'll let them leave. Give them a second to go. Okay, now it's just you and me. We have our meetups that we do for the How to Podcast series. We do them during the week, and we also do them on Saturdays. So twice a week, you have the opportunity to meet other podcasters, just like you. Some people have just started. Some people haven't even released an episode yet. Some have been doing it forever. And we get together and talk podcasting. We want to help you in community to continue with your show, to start your show, to grow your show. So come and meet listeners of this show in one space on meetup.com. Again, through howtopodcast.ca, you'll see the links. It's completely free to join. Come whenever you have an opportunity to come. There's no commitment. You don't have to sign any waivers. You can just come join us. Come join the conversation. We'd love to have you there because the only thing that's going to make these meetups better is you being there. So I'm hoping you will say yes. And you'll say, Dave, I'm tired of podcasting by myself. I wish there were people I could connect with that are fellow podcasters and share my frustrations. with guests who ghost me, and my editing software is crapping out on me, and I'm just having this hard time. I'm just having a hard time coming up with podcasts, episodes, and titles, and all the things, and social media. And wouldn't it be great to get in a room with other podcasters and share best practices and learn? 3 of our 4 Saturdays every month are themed. So you have a topic, but that last Saturday of every month, it's open question and answer. Ask anything. Come meet a podcaster. Come enjoy the podcasting community through howtopodcast.ca. Come to our meetups. Can't wait to see you there.